Welcome to Impact Unicorns, the podcast where you meet inspirational entrepreneurs building the next generation of transformative companies. And now, here is your host, Dr. Indranil Ghosh, award-winning author, investor, and advisor to global leaders.
Welcome to another episode of Impact Unicorns. And today I'm delighted to have Fred Murrell on our show. Fred, great to have you.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Well, Fred, we've been hearing about bamboo and this amazing company, Rizome, from your co-founder, David Sands, on a previous episode. David gave us a really good overview of the miracle of bamboo, the plant, and how Rizome's been growing bamboo forests and converting it into structural materials. But I know that you come from the energy world, and you've been looking at energy and biochar applications for this fiber as well. So we'd love to hear about that. But first of all, do you want to just tell us a little bit about your background and how you came into the world of bamboo?
I'd be delighted. Yeah, thank you, Indranil. I came in through a law department start way back in the 1970s, working for a power company, and they made me ultimately the coal buyer, the vice president of coal procurement for the utility company, and from there I remained in the energy field for 30 years. And developed energy projects around the world, including Indonesia. And all that time I had known, I'd grown up with David Sands, and I'd known David and his brother virtually all my life. And I was one of the first investors in David Sands's bamboo living company. And I'm one of the larger investors in that company to date. And as a result of that, I've been watching David in the bamboo field for many, many years, 30 years now, and have been fascinated by what bamboo can offer. And we went from building houses, as you know, in the bamboo living side, to now making construction products in Rizome bamboo. And so in Rizome bamboo, I brought some of my energy skills back into play, and we're working to make the Rizome bamboo waste stream usable. And so our goal at the end of the day is to be a zero waste stream company. And we can do that by making something productive out of the waste stream that results from when we construct our products. So if we can start moving through the slides, I can have a little.
Sure. Yeah.
This is a bamboo. It's giant bamboo. We harvest it in the Philippines, and it's a great plant. It sequesters carbon faster than any land-based plant we're aware of, and it's usable. We can make some really excellent construction products out of the bamboo. On the next slide, we show the products that we can make out of the bamboo, and those include a number of things that go inside of bamboo houses or any type of house, and can be used to actually construct houses from the top to the bottom. And the next slide, this is a listing of our specific products that we're making at the factory today, and this is what we do to turn round bamboo into flat construction products that we then sell in the open market, and we sequester carbon very actively by doing that. And on the next slide, we'll get into a conversation about what we do with it. Here you see on the left a picture of our factory workers at work over in Cagayan de Oro in the Philippines. And as a result of making anything, we always have a waste stream. The important part of what we want to do with our waste stream is to make use of it. And if you look on the right, that is biochar, which is an extremely valuable resource, which we can make by taking the bamboo, pyrolyzing it in correct conditions, and turning that into essentially carbon, which becomes a great additive for soil and also a great filtration product. And as a result of that, it can sequester carbon for hundreds and perhaps even thousands of years if it's properly placed.
If you're enjoying Impact Unicorns, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to receive notifications of new shows. Your feedback is essential to help us bring the most relevant impact venture stories to the podcast. If you would like to review the show, go to the Apple Podcasts mobile app or iTunes to leave a rating and review.
You talked about the waste from the bamboo conversion to timber products. What kind of waste is it? I think it's the green waste, isn't it, that you use for producing the biochar? So
it is.
Could you explain what green waste is and how much of the total bamboo fiber is that waste that you're reclaiming and using for biochar?
What we do is take a round bamboo and turn it into flat products. And as a result of that, we have small pieces of bamboo that are left on the cutting room floor at the factory. We also have the portion of bamboo that is difficult for us to use in the factory that is cut and sometimes left on the forest floor where we gather it up and make better use of it. What we want to do is take the cutting room, the factory floor materials, and we want to take the materials from the bamboo forest, and we want to take that waste stream and utilize it. And it's going to be, even with the production of strand woven fiber products, it's going to be at least 40% of the bamboo pole is left as waste from each pole that is being taken into production by us. So as a result of that, we have a need to make a useful product out of that 40% waste. And in order to become a zero waste stream company, which is one of our big goals, we need to find the right use of that. And we believe that the right use of that includes very much biochar. And biochar is produced by putting any type of woody product or any type of biomass into a facility that allows you to have low oxygen pyrolysis of the woody product, and it turns it into a gas stream, which is usable as a fuel, and it turns it into carbon. It turns it into charcoal, a high quality charcoal, which has got a very high surface area, and that turns it into that is called biochar. And so you can see what we've got is the use of the biochar in the various structures of the various methods that I've outlined there. As a soil conditioner, it makes a great soil amendment and vastly increases the productivity of a field. And it also provides the ability to reduce synthetic fertilizers in a very big way. It can be used as a substitute for peat moss and for other potting soils. And the highest and best use that we've seen with biochar is to use it as a composted material. We compost with the biochar, and it makes an outstanding planting material. So it's a great soil medium. And then we have to keep in mind, and we keep telling people who will acquire biochar from us, that fresh biochar has to be treated in such a way to activate it by exposing it to mineral sources so that it doesn't leach mineral sources from the biosphere. So what we do is, and that's why we put ours into a compost, and that is it charges the biochar and keeps it and makes it into a productive additive instead of having any negative aspects with the planted material.
And the circularity of the business means that you could probably use the biochar as a soil amendment for your own bamboo forests.
We do that. Absolutely, we do. We make what we call our bamboo planting basketball, which we incorporate biochar into that with all the ingredients of our planting basketball. So that we do that in order to improve the likelihood of survival of the planting material that we're putting into the ground.
So the basketball is like is a pouch of, soil and biochar and other goodies that you put the seedling in, and then you plant it in the right place. Is that what you mean by the basketball?
That's exactly right. That's what we do. We take we incorporate a clump of composted material, including biochar, and some additional additives like humates and some organic fertilizers. We put that all into a planting clump. We wrap that and we put that into the field at the same time that we plant the seedlings.
Fantastic.
And the other uses on the next slide, we have biochar is a great filtration material. It does an extremely good job of taking negative materials from any water flow or any location, and it really is a great filtration material. It's used as soil remediation in various brownfield locations. It is used as soil remediation around closed surface and underground mines, and it is used as water filtration for safe drinking water and surface water filtration to remove nutrients from agricultural fields before it moves into rivers and streams. So it's got a great future, and in addition to those filtration processes, biochar is also used in animal feed. And one of the things to animal feed is that we found that biochar increases the bulk of animals who are being raised for on bulk basis, and it also increases the efficiency of the production. And the net result overall is a reduction in the amount of methane produced by the animals being fed the animal feed, which includes biochar. So it's got that great aspect of it as well, and it's just a great product. And there's an article on the internet right now that talks about 55 different uses of biochar, and there is no doubt in my mind that that's going to double in a very short period of time because biochar is becoming more and more popular, and as a result of that, people are going to be trying to put it to use in more and more applications. And we expect big things out of biochar in the future.
How widespread is the use of biochar currently in some of these applications like soil amendment and filtration? I mean, I know the USDA in the United States is trying to encourage the use of biochar among farmers to boost yields and to enable them to use less artificial fertilizers. But how do you see the market evolving at the moment?
The big victory so far has been over in Europe. Europe has done an extremely good job of incorporating biochar into planting and field maintenance. And as a result of that, Europe is ahead of everybody, including the United States. The United States is playing catch up, and we're working very hard to try to get biochar more and more accepted by U.S. farmers, and we're seeing big progress in that. But Europe so far is ahead of the game. The United States comes in second, and then Asia after that. So it's growing in popularity. The meetings that we go to for biochar have increased in population quite a bit, and so you can tell that biochar is catching on and is getting to be a more and more important part of agriculture.
And what about the pricing of biochar? Do any of these applications garner a high price, or is it something that a farmer, a larger farmer perhaps would just have a biochar unit in their backyard and do their own sort of circular economy and put the biochar into his fields?
Yeah, biochar to date has been rather expensive, and so as a result of that, I think that's been one of the reasons why it hasn't been adopted as readily by U.S. farmers as we'd like to see. But that's improving. Biochar production is increasing. So access to biochar and the transportation costs of biochar is dropping as people around the United States begin to produce biochar. And that's been a big part of it is to have lower transportation costs in order to get access to the biochar. So that is helping. And also what is helping are the advent of biochar carbon credits, a very popular item these days and really encouraging biochar production because there can be payments. I think the most recent number published by Eco Engineers is around $185 per metric ton for biochar for a carbon credit. And biochar ton is going to produce about 3 credits. So that's a big financial boost for the people producing biochar, and it's something that we're going to be keeping our eyes on as well because that can really improve access to biochar for everybody.
And so, in your view, the main bottlenecks so far have been scale production and transportation. So, are you seeing sort of bigger facilities, coming online? Is the equipment available for this getting larger?
And no doubt about it. It used to be that the only biochar equipment you could buy is batch style equipment, and where you're making a couple of tons of biochar a day at one of the larger locations. And now they're getting to be commercial plants that are being produced by manufacturers that produce 25, 30, or 50 tons of biochar per day if the biomass is available. So it's really extremely increased in the scale. And that's been an exciting development in biochar in recent years.
And so with that scale, I guess bamboo would have a good advantage given how quickly it grows and how much fiber you can produce per hectare. So if you wanted to build a large-scale biochar plant, if you put it next to sort of a large bamboo plantation, you'd have an ongoing supply for production and then distribution.
That's absolutely true. There's nothing quite like bamboo. I mean, it is just an amazing plant, and it grows and it grows large very quickly. And so you can have a complete commercial production facility that could start using bamboo that's planted as recently as 4 years prior to the utilization. So bamboo is very, very quick turnaround, and is going to provide a lot of fiber very, very quickly.
And I guess there are many different grades of biochar and activated carbon, and I would assume that depending on the use case, the biochar needs to be somewhat different. Can you tell us a little bit about the pyrolysis technology, and to what extent can you tune the properties of the biochar that comes out of the process based on the equipment and the sort of operating conditions?
Biochar is kind of the next step up from charcoal, and charcoal is produced by pyrolyzing wood at around 300 degrees Celsius or below. And so with the thing about charcoal compared to biochar is that the surface area of the two products is vastly different. And what we find is that the production of biochar at higher temperatures increases the amount of surface area in the interstices of the biochar very, very significantly. And so a product that is produced at 600 degrees Celsius or 650 degrees Celsius has a lot of surface area and is a much more valuable product than a product that is produced essentially as charcoal at around 300 degrees Celsius. So that's the two biggest differences. It's the amount of surface area of the microsurfaces of the biochar, and that's what makes it attractive to buyers. And depending on the utilization, whether it's a filtration system or whether it's just a soil amendment, the purchasers are looking for different aspects of biochar, and the farmer is looking for something like charcoal or just above charcoal, while the people going into more fancy utilization of biochar like filtration are definitely looking for something that is produced at a higher temperature under more exacting engineering requirements, and that's just a much more expensive and attractive product for those users.
And do you need different types of pyrolyzers to produce these different grades of biochar, or can you take the same piece of equipment and adjust the conditions for different production batches?
Well, at the end of the day, a pyrolysis plant of any nature is going to leave you with your fiber product in the form of carbon. And so what you're trying to do is produce the best carbon you can on the output basis. But there are a number of different ways of doing that. There are batch systems that I mentioned earlier. There are continuous feed systems that run all day. There are systems that have a higher production of usable off gases that are available and can be used to make electricity. And we're looking at that very, very carefully as a potential byproduct of bamboo and biochar production. And so there are in fact a number of different processes that all result in a very high carbon biochar product. So that's at the end of the day, we get back to what is the process temperature in the reactor at the time that the biochar is being made. And if the process temperature is sufficient, then we make a good biochar.
And where are you at Rizome in terms of implementing your biochar process?
Well, we bought and installed our first biochar unit, and it's been in place since the beginning of this year. And now we are looking at how we're going to expand. I think our next unit is going to be a continuous feed unit. And we're looking to put that by a high source of bamboo that we've identified on the island of Mindanao in the Philippines.
That's fantastic. Well, we'll look forward to getting a report on that in the future, see how that's coming along and what kind of use cases and customers you're finding.
Great.
Fred, it's been great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for sharing all this wisdom with us. And please keep us updated on how things go with your biochar adventures.
Thank you, Andrew. I enjoyed it. Take care.
If you've enjoyed this episode of Impact Unicorns, don't forget to rate and review this show by scrolling down and clicking Rate This Podcast. And join me next week as I talk to more inspirational entrepreneurs building the next generation of transformative companies.